Friday night, we're at the Jewish Community Center in Salonika, invited to share the meal with the last remnants of Salonican Jews. Obviously, on a Friday night, Sabbath, we're not allowed to take pictures. And then they began the ceremony. And all of a sudden, they began to sing songs in Ladino, Sabbath songs. And I was just blown away by it. I realized this is the last time we're going to have a community still singing these songs this way. At the end of the 19th century, Thessaloniki had the highest percentage of Jews in any city in the world. Quite amazing, they were 40% of the city and they were the largest single ethnic group. It was a place where Jews, Christians, Muslims lived together.
The Jews of Thessaloniki came from Spain, so they carry with them their own language, the Ladino.
Whereas most of the Jews of Salonika descended from Jews who were expelled from Spain in the 15th century, many Jews in the rest of Greece, called Romaniot, were in Greece for 2,300 years. They spoke Greek, and they were much better integrated into overall Greek society.
The Jewish communities of Greece are the most ancient on European soil. These are the first communities that were ever created on European soil, and this was not because of an act of war or forced exile or as so many other examples that we have, but it was because of cultural approachment, let's say, and because of economic opportunity.
On the eve of the outbreak of World War II, Greece had approximately 70,000 Jews. In 1945, by the end of the war, less than 4% that actually survived.
Every time I walk here, my heart beats. It's like I'm seeing these people walking here, and among them my father. So it makes me so angry to deceiving these poor people who had no fault on this war. So people arrive at this point holding one suitcase, food for 7 days. This is the moment they realize that something is very wrong.
The Nazi occupation and abuse of the Jews of Salonika was gradual, but by 1943 the Nazis had decided to wipe out this Jewish community, the largest in all of Greece. And over the course of several days, the Jews of Salonika were concentrated in the central train station, where they were placed in freight cars, over 100 people per car, sent straight to Auschwitz. And ultimately 97% of Salonican Jews were murdered by the Nazis.
There were several reasons we have these losses. First of all, speaking Ladino, it's not easy to go in hiding, and nobody could communicate with the inmates, so it was very difficult to survive there. The weather, here we have a mild Mediterranean weather. There it's cold winter, so many people died very easily because of the cold. Moreover, very strong family bonds.
I always ask my father, why didn't you jump off the train? Why did you go with them? One of the most important reasons is that they were very, very close to their families. So he didn't want to just jump off the train and leave everybody back, because his mother was a little bit sick.
This was very moving to see first how far-reaching World War II was, to see these little tiny towns. Nobody could escape from it.
How was the community, the survivors that returned to Thessaloniki in 1945 and 46, how were they treated?
They were received as lunatics. They started saying the stories, and even their own people, their friends, their former friends, the Jewish people, did not believe them. They could not believe them. It was so crazy. What the stories they said were so crazy.
The Nazi occupation of Greece is certainly not just a Jewish story. The Greek people suffered tremendously under the Nazi occupation, more than other occupied peoples. And a very prominent example is what happened in the village of Distomo.
By the beginning of June 1944, the Germans, they were in Greece. They have been informed that they have been defeated in Normandy and Russia. So they have entered this village called Distomo, and using machine guns, they killed them all but one. One child who was in the arms of his mother.
I don't understand how people can hate so much that they hate the children too.
We're here to remember them, and going forward we now know their story, and it's a story I didn't know before, and it's definitely something that I'm going to remember and make sure other people know too.
There are 4,000 Jews in Greece. What do you think will happen to this Jewish community in Greece in 10 years?
I don't know how many of them will remain Jewish. There are mixed marriages. The people, some of them, are losing their identity. Some of them are keeping it.
When we sat at Shabbat dinner on Friday night, you look around the room, it was an aging population. There were kids there, but there were not many.
Although it is a traditional community, nowadays not so many people are keeping Shabbat. But they are still traditional-minded people.
I see the destruction of the community and how the community will eventually fade out because they are so few right now. I just have enormous emotional response to that, and I want to be able to find ways to bring that back to my students.
When somebody wants to hurt you, another way of doing it without even physically hurting you is to break a tombstone, to destroy a resting place of your parents, of your child. Everywhere the Nazis were, they desecrated and destroyed the cemeteries. And of course, then very often, the tombstones, whether you need to or not, are going to be used for, let's call them secular purposes, for paving roads, and so on and so forth. And that's one more way of humiliating.
As a Jewish, I say what Rabbi Hillel said once upon a time: don't do to the other person what the other person you don't want they to do to you. This is very important. This is the main root for me. This is why I am Jewish and I remain Jewish.
The work of Classroom Without Borders is not only about Holocaust. It's about race and prejudice. And I really hope that through all of you as educators, we can make it a better world.
Acortaron las visoras.